If you were the one who never caused problems, the one who stayed quiet, handled things on your own, the one everyone describes as easy or low maintenance, but inside you felt unseen, disconnected, and maybe even a little empty, this might be why. Because in some families, the child who doesn't need anything is the one who learns to disappear. And here's a question I want you to sit with right now. What role did you have in your family? The invisible one, the golden one, the scapegoat? Or perhaps you had a different role, but tell me in the comments. I read every single one of them. Hi, I'm Jill. I've been a psychotherapist for over 26 years, helping people understand how early family roles and childhood trauma still shape how they feel and relate today. If you're new here, I'm really glad you found your way to this space. And if you've been here before, welcome back. Childhood trauma can be obvious, but not always. Sometimes it's about who you had to become. And one of the most overlooked roles, ironically, is the invisible child. The one who learned to stay quiet, to not need too much, to not take up space. Because trauma isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet pressure to be a certain way, to feel safe, or to feel loved, or to belong. And if we're not aware of these roles, we can still live them out now in our adulthood without even realising. In many families, these roles form out with awareness. The golden child, the peacekeeper, the scapegoat, the caretaker. And I talk about some of these in other videos. And then, of course, the child who disappears. On the outside, your life might look stable, you might be independent, capable, even successful, but underneath it, that quiet feeling of, does anyone really know me? Would it matter if I stop showing up like this? And this is where it gets deeper, because what looks like strength often started as survival. And we're going to unpack that today. What most people don't realise is this: the invisible child isn't a personality type, it's a role your nervous system learned to keep you safe, to keep you regulated and calm and functioning. In dysfunctional or narcissistic family systems, attention is not given freely. Now, I also want to mention that this can happen in many different kinds of families, including families where a parent or a sibling is ill, and the natural flow of care and attention within the family becomes disrupted. But as I was saying, in dysfunctional or narcissistic families, attention is errant, or it's dangerous. So you adapted, you learned, don't have needs, don't take up space, don't make things harder. And here's the key: that wasn't a flaw, that was intelligence. If you'd like to learn more about roles in families, do subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. I once worked with someone, I'll call her Maya. Maya was incredibly competent, reliable, calm. Everyone leaned on her. But in our sessions, she shared something that felt deeply honest. She said, I don't think anyone would notice if I died tomorrow, as long as I got my work done first. Oh, now hold that for a second, because we're going to come back to Maya. Here's what's happening underneath this role, underneath this pattern. As a child, you may well have been scanning constantly, not for connection, but for emotional temperature. To find out who's upset, who needs something, what should I not do? And this is called adaptive attunement. And so while other kids were learning, I matter, It's all about me. You may well have been learning, I stay safe by not needing anything or anyone. And here's the crucial part. You didn't just hide your needs from others. You hid them from yourself. If this is making sense to you, please click the like button. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you asked yourself, what do I actually want right now? Not what's expected, not what's easier for others, but what you want. In fact, does that question feel uncomfortable? Let's go back to Maya. Halfway through our work, I asked her a simple question. What do you need from people? And gosh, she kind of froze. Her expression was blank. And not because she wasn't clever or not because she didn't trust me, but because the question just didn't make sense to her. No one had ever asked it before. And slowly, over time, she realized something. Her invisibility wasn't protecting her anymore. It was actually isolating her. And this pattern forms because your brain links visibility with risk. It's risky. And silence with safety. So even as an adult, you might well struggle to express your needs. You might feel guilty if you have to ask for help. You might disappear in relationships, so you're always catering to what the other person needs or wants. And you might attract people who take much more than they actually give. But underneath that, there's a nervous system still trying to protect you. And here's a powerful way to look at it. You are not invisible because you're unimportant. You became invisible because at one point it was the safest way to stay connected. I'm going to share some steps next, but if you would like something that you can come back to, I'll put a link in the description for my free guide. It's called Understanding and Healing Hidden Childhood Wounds. Okay, let's just begin to shift this for you. Number one, noticing when you let yourself disappear. Well, that happens because it's really an automatic survival response. So I'm going to ask you to pause 3 times a day and ask, where did I go just now? Was I present? Was I aware of how I was feeling or what I needed? You see, awareness is the first step back into visibility. You've got to be visible to yourself first. Number 2, name one need. Now, you might even just do that privately to yourself. And ask you to do that because you may well have never been taught how to do that, how to name a need. So get a notepad, get a journal, and write one small need down daily. And remember this, needs are not burdens. They're human signals. Number 3, safe expression. Well, why? Because to express yourself, particularly when you're a child, may have felt just too unsafe. So I'm going to ask you to share one honest sentence with a safe person. And remember that the right people don't punish you for truth, for your truth. Number 4, receiving without earning. Why I ask this is if love was conditional, it can be really hard to just accept something or help. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to accept help in some even tiny way this week without over-explaining yourself. You don't have to perform to be cared for. Number 5, body check-ins. With childhood trauma, you can often disconnect from yourself. So checking in with yourself and saying, what am I feeling in my body right now? Now, that could be something like I've got butterflies in my tummy, I've got a knot in my stomach. It could just even be I'm a bit hungry or I'm a bit cold. And this is really important because your body remembers what your mind hid. So beginning that reconnection. Number 6, micro visibility. Do not panic. I really literally do mean micro. Because if in the past big exposure felt overwhelming to be seen, then it can be really difficult to be even slightly visible. So I'm going to ask you just to speak up once in the next 7 days in a low stake situation. So with someone you trust, with someone who gets you. And bear in mind that visibility can be gentle, visibility can be gradual. Number 7, inner child acknowledgement. Now, I know this sounds so therapist-y, but it comes from a really simple concept that inside you, the adult you are now, or me, the adult I am, are all the younger parts, just like in these Russian nesting dolls. So actually in there, if you can see, that is the tiniest one of you. They're all in there and they can all get quite active. So acknowledging that part of you is still there. And you may even want to say to some part of you inside, you didn't do anything wrong. Because the actual truth is, you adapted brilliantly. Does this feel true for you? What parts hit the hardest? And I'm really interested what role you played growing up. Do please tell me in the comments. And remember, you can download my free guide on childhood trauma using the link in the description. And that guide is a really good place to start. One of the most common effects of trauma I've seen in over 26 years of practice is disconnection from ourself. And when that happens, healing begins with understanding what's actually going on inside and gently learning how to reconnect with yourself again at your own pace. I want to say this to you clearly. There's nothing wrong with you. You didn't disappear because you were faulty. You disappeared because you were wise. Because in that environment, it made sense. But you're not there anymore. So here's something for you to reflect on. What part of you is still waiting to be seen by you? If this helped you see something about yourself, please let me know in the comments or share this video with someone who might need to hear it. And if you're ready, you don't have to stay invisible anymore. I'm really glad you were here for this conversation because I see you. If you want to continue your healing journey, YouTube is recommending this video as a really supportive next step for you. I'll see you next time, and in the meantime, you take very good care. Bye-bye.